Okay, welcome to Ampocalypse. I'm Damian, and today I'm joined by the fantastic Zia McCabe from the Dandy Warhols. So, first of all, how are you, Zia? How's things?
I'm all right, just trying to keep up.
It's always the way, isn't it? Now,
Hmm.
today we're going to be talking about your upcoming covers record, Pin-Ups, which is, as I understand, a collection of representations that sort of spans decades that the Dandy Warhols have played and collated over the years. Um, and we're also going to jump into an apocalypse to find out how Zia and the Dandy Warhols would survive nature retaking the earth. So, first of all, let's start off with the record Pin-Ups. Now, this, as I understand, brings together, reinterpretations recorded, across different years, territories, and, all phases of the band's career. When did you guys sort of decide, or that this was the right time to actually release these sort of scattered songs into one release?
uh, well, we haven't put, okay, so, for people that don't understand, every territory, especially when, you know, media was something that you touched and held in your hand, they want each territory to be special and they want bonus material. And when you're doing a global release and every single territory wants bonus material, that ends up being more content than what's on your original album that you're trying to put out. Some bands make a million songs, and just pick certain ones for the album. We're usually wringing out every little, bit of creativity for each album. So we were oftentimes very short on bonus material. So we've always turned to covers for that. That's been our go-to. And we've realized, well, in our opinion, we're quite good at reinterpreting other people's music. And it's fun. It's a fun, easy gig. You pick bands you love, agree on a song, record it, and then it just ends up a dandy track at the end. So we haven't put out a collection of those since Come On Feel the Dandies, which was, I don't know, ages ago. And so these little extra covers have been kind of scattered around the planet, and they have been kind of collected digitally here and there. But it just seemed like it was time to gather all the ones that had come out since Come On Feel the Dandies. I don't think there's any of the same used. I'm not sure. I should look. So I tried to do this a couple times on my own and just totally failed and fell on my face. But Peter uh, turns out to be great at this. So Peter really spearheaded this project, and some of the songs needed a little work. Like Kiss Off didn't have the backing vocals yet, though I think it had been released. We probably hit a deadline and just threw it at him and moved on. So we went back and tidied up a little bit here and there, but mostly they're kind of as they were when we made them.
Cool. Now, as we've alluded to, many of them, in different territories, they were B-sides, bonus tracks. I think some were potentially unreleased that you'd recorded over the years. What was the deciding factor for these specific songs? I mean, were there tunes that sort of didn't make the cut, and we might potentially see more in the future?
Um, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure which ones. I thought Kiss Off had never been released anywhere, and then there's always some snarky guy in the comments that loves to correct you. Apparently, it did exist to some extent somewhere in the world. So I don't know which ones have never been released or, only released on the B side of a little CD that came in a package somewhere. I mean, most of these I think are relatively obscure cuts, and I just it's really cool to have them all in one place. It's really cool to put them out on vinyl. We've got, Little Cloud Records has just completely reinvigorated our vinyl presence in the world, which has been really nice. We were having a hard time just keeping track, keeping anything in stores, and Little Cloud has really changed the game for us. So they're awesome.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned that you thought the song had never been released, but there's always that one guy out the back of a show selling bootlegs of songs that no one knew even existed, and you there questioning how did this even get out into the world? So
Seriously.
it can happen.
Yeah.
Now, the track list, it sort of spans decades and, like, so much. You've got The Cure like on there, Bob Dylan, The Runaways. How did you approach narrowing down, those artists initially, from when you decided to originally cover them? What was it about those particular guys that made you go, I want to cover that song, that sort of deep cut in some instances?
Probably the first would be, is it, how hard is it? Because we're all kind of musical hacks. Okay, not Peter and Brent, me and Courtney. And so it's got to be even approachable, right? Like skill level wise approachable. And Blackbird doesn't fit in that. We had to do that one because Courtney sang about it on the Monkey House record. So there's that, and then it just comes down to if it's songs that we love. So this shows you what songs were written in a way that dandies can cover it, like we have access to it, and then this also is a great display of like our tastes. These are bands that we dig. These are songs that we dig. These are usually songs that one of us already kind of knows how to play. And we're like, oh, this one's easy. Let's do this.
Now, the album, sorry, artwork, the album moves, quite fluidly actually. And when you were sort of reworking such, well, in some instances, quite well-known material, how did you actually just, decide how you were going to apply, your personal style to these songs? Because it's quite easy to be a covers band. It's quite easy to put a covers record out. But I've always been a big fan of punk bands that put out sort of fast-paced punk rock versions of tunes. And listening to this record, I sort of thought, I kept finding myself going, I should know this song, but it's not the song I recognise, and it forced me to listen to it in a different way. How did you sort of go about reworking these songs and deciding that's how you wanted to approach them?
Well, I mean, the way that you phrase it makes it sound like we have a lot of say in this, which I don't. I think that you're giving us too much credit here. We again, uh, what we learned early was there are musicians who can just imitate anyone, right? We are musicians who have a style that is based again on our skill level and how much we don't practice. So when we first started doing covers, we would go in and realize we literally don't know how to sound like anybody else. We just don't even have that we were using the same beat up old gear, and so it goes through this very thick dandy's filter, and this is just what comes out the other side. So we do our best to kind of get the demo, which is just sort of the bones of the song, the chord changes, the lyrics, and then as we add our layers, it always just sort of boomerangs around back squarely into our style. And so that's just organic. That's not something we have a lot of say over. That's just what happens. And then of course we spent a ton of time sequencing because these songs were done over so many years. Some of them do sound in still within our parameters, they sound quite different. So we spent a lot of time sequencing to create some sort of flow. And then, when you're doing that, you're listening to the first and last 30 seconds of each song and just kind of ignoring the middle just to see how they're gonna feel at the end of one and the beginning of the next one.
Cool. Now, Kiss Off was, I think it's been chosen as the first single from the record, and it sort of features yourself stepping into the sort of the lead vocals. What made this track feel like the right one to sort of introduce people to this record? And by the way, you sound fantastic on it, just so you know.
Thank you. I just got a text from Courtney or Peter saying, go down and sing Kiss Off. We're covering that song. Okay. I love the Violent Femmes. They're the band that I was always the most excited to see. One cool thing is after Courtney heard me do the vocals on that, he goes, okay, if you ever get a punk band, I get to be your drummer. I was like, okay, no, but okay. So the only reason we chose it as the first single, as far as I know, is it was really easy to make a video for it down in the desert. Peter liked my haircut with the shaved sides and thought, let's just make this video basically about your hair. So that is, I don't know if that's, you would never know that in the video, but I was just being a sassy girl with a cool haircut for the whole video. And I do not think there was much thought beyond that.
Yeah. So you sort of alluded to the fact this song has been out there somewhere, but I understand it was sort of found by you guys initially on a hard drive, sort of sat there for years. What prompted, you guys to bring this particular song out now, the one that had just been sat in the background in a drawer somewhere?
We have a lot of hard drives sitting around. A drawer wouldn't hold them, but we have a few big tubs of hard drives, and um, a guy went through them for us and cataloged everything. So, stupidly, what we didn't do when he cataloged everything was have him move everything onto like big new hard drives. So now we're like going back and redoing that and looking for all the power splites. But doing that, that's kind of, I think, when we realized how many covers we had that had never been globally released across the board. And that was just one of the ones that was in there. So basically, all these were sitting on hard drive somewhere. And we've just, what is it? We just hit our 32nd anniversary. And while we are still working on an album, it's also a really great time to be looking back over our catalog. And like we had a Spanish EP where we each wrote a song while we had studio time in Spain. Something happened to one of them, so it never got released. Well, we should probably just put out the other three, right? So there's all of this, like, kind of, anytime you clean out the basement, what do you find? You find some cool old t-shirt you didn't know was in there. You find, oh, I should pick bowling back up again, or should I donate this bowling ball? So we're just trying to see what's in there that's not garbage, what is almost finished, and we can finish it, and we'll probably just go through the strata of the last 30 years of hard drives and put out the closest to finished stuff, and then hopefully find some inspiration in there and enjoy going over some of these kind of long forgotten tracks and ideas and concepts.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you could probably give it to the guy out the back of the gig that's selling them. He'll catalogue them for you.
Yeah, there we go. No problem.
Now, one of the songs that really caught my eye, I mean, I've been a headbanger as long as I can remember, and it was The Beautiful People. And I was really fascinated and really excited to see how you guys put your own twist on it. And for me, it's one of the more it's one of the darker originals on the album. I mean, it's like by Marilyn Manson. It's goth, it's deep, it's dark. And how did those early conversations sort of go when you were like, this is on we're going to cover? Because it's very far removed from the Dandy Warhols sound.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. We had a period in our life where we were hosted kind of regularly by Trent Reznor, and those guys were always sort of lurking around at Trent's place, in his, what was it, an old morgue. And so we would see those guys there, and then Courtney and Brent became friends with one of them, and they were always going to the strip club in Portland whenever they came through town. So I think it kind of just came out of the, I want to say mutual respect, not for Marilyn Manson's, relationship behaviors, but for the music. And I think it just kind of came from that. And, just whenever a song fascinates us, and, really, I think all of us are into the darker new wave and goth music. We just, again, when we think we're making that, at the end, there's always a little bit too much tongue in cheek, and there's always a little bit too much glam for it to really read as dark. But that doesn't mean we're not into that.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how I'm going to phrase this as a question, because it's more an observation from me. Because listening to it, there was something that really fascinated, like how you captivated. There's an element of darkness still there, the very gothic nature, but you've turned quite a bleak sounding song into something that's actually quite uplifting.
That's
You know,
what happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, was that something that you wanted to bring to the song, or was it just, as you say, how you put the Dandy Warhols polish on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you talk about concepts like being true to the music, when we're all, I think one of our real skills as a band is we can a concept or a point of motivation that you talk about philosophically when you're creating art should be, we believe, seen as a jumping off point, not as a container that you have to stay inside of. So any concept, any idea, any sound that inspires you is as long as it gets you started and set up some momentum or a cruising altitude, that served its purpose. Now that there's a piece started, the purpose is to listen to that piece and trust that it knows where it wants to go and listen for where it's going and follow its lead. So you're not leading the music once it's starting, the music is leading you. And again, it always leads us to a cohesive place because we're using the same instruments and we're the same people. But so that's just what happens to us when we follow the music. And I'm not saying we're walking around being positive, cheerful people. We're all kind of like, crabby assholes, really. But, but the music, we've got a sense of humor, and I think the humor comes through. And we always like to have this kind of, maybe the darker the subject, the more cheerful or funny the song. I mean, like Not If You're the Last Junkie on Earth. That song is about a really fucked up situation, right?
Yeah.
But it is one of the poppiest pieces of music we own. And so that's just always, we love a juxtaposition. We love a push pull with the feelings versus lyrics. That's just kind of what floats our boat.
Yeah. I think it's interesting you say that actually, because I do find very conflicting emotions when I'm really getting into a catchy, uplifting song, and then someone says, "Have you actually listened to the lyrics here?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks for ruining the good time for me."
Yeah, right.
Now, there's so many great tracks on this album. Would you say it's your personal favorite that you've brought forward that is always stuck with you as one that you just dig?
Well, what I would have to do would be my homework and actually listen through this whole thing now that it's done, because I spent so much time with the sequencing. When I try to do this, I can only think of the beginning and end of each song. Of course, Kiss Off is my favorite. I don't get to do lead vocals in this band very often. It's normally in my side projects. And I love Violent Femmes. It was so cool to send that over to them, to no reply, but still it was fun to share it. And so of course that's my favorite. I'm trying to even think what else is on there right now. The Beautiful People, of course, always stood out for me because it's such a departure from the original track. She Sells Sanctuary is stands out also. That is one that we actually have been performing in our acoustic sets, and it reads really well as acoustic. I always love when we do the beautiful 70s standards. Sister Golden Hair's on there, right? Or is
I
that
think
on?
so, yeah.
I think
Do you
so.
know what? I
I'm
can't
trying to.
remember. I'm trying to picture
I
the track
know.
list in my head. I've
I
closed
know.
everything down on my computer so I don't
Yeah,
get
I got hit with these interviews and went, fuck, I've not listened to it since we finished sequencing.
You're probably sick of the hearing it. That's what happens, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, I just need to listen through the whole thing. I'm sure we have a digital version of it. I should ask before I keep doing these interviews and telling everyone I haven't done my homework.
It's all right. We let you off. I mean, as I say, you've given us absolutely fantastic record.
Yeah.
And, for me, I've already said I love The Beautiful People. And I have to say, the intro or the first song, Cherry Bomb,
Oh,
sets a
yes.
fantastic bar for the record.
Yeah.
And I always find the opening track, you've got to make it good, but not so good that people that it peaks at the beginning. So,
Yeah, it can't be
good
downhill from
choice.
there, right? True.
Yeah. Okay, so I've already mentioned the show's called Ampocalypse, and we're going to take Zia into our own apocalyptic situation. So, the cities are now silent, venues are gone, and this apocalypse is where nature has taken everything back. So, nature has reclaimed the earth. Cities and jungles, venues, tree houses. The electricity is a distant memory. What is the first Dandy Warhol survivor role that you're claiming in the band?
um, okay, wait, what are some of the roles? Let's get into this headspace. What are
Right. Well, I
survival roles
mean,
that people have?
there's the standard ones. There's the hunter. There's the person that looks like keeps things safe. I'm trying to think of what everyone did in The Walking Dead now before it got boring.
Right? I mean, I would be the chief problem solver for sure. So I would be telling the rest of the boys what their jobs are and what they're supposed to do, because that's what I do already, right?
Ah,
That's already my role.
the,
So yeah, I would be looking over stuff. Me and Courtney would have some power struggles for sure, but he would eventually acquiesce and do what I say. Um, and as far as hunting, we're fucked. Those guys can hunt. We would be scavenging.
fair.
Yeah, we would be scavenging and setting up our bunker. It's cool that this is your program. So Rockmaker, I feel like, was the album of what felt like the apocalypse during
Yes.
COVID, during George Floyd. We live in Portland, obviously, massive protests. And we had forest fires at the same time. So there was tear gas and fire smoke. The whole city was empty. It looked like the apocalypse. Everyone either had full respirators on their bicycles. I've got some great photos of that era. So Rockmaker sounds like that to me, right? And then the new album we're making is exactly like you describe it. I was like, okay, well, at some point all these bombed out buildings get covered in vines and it's verdant and it becomes lush and beautiful and actually sort of hopeful of renewal. So the damage is done and then you have this, it's almost post-apocalypse vibes,
Yeah.
and I wanted an album that sounded like that, and that's the album we've been making. So please have me back on your show when the
Oh, I
next
most
album comes
definitely
out.
will. I will be
Yeah.
in touch because that one will be a fun one to compare it. Um,
Yeah, very, very different. This is more like if Brian Eno, Vangelis, and Jean-Michel Jarre had a baby.
cool. Now, I have to say, I do like the way you put chief problem solver and then described almost a dictator, but I think you would make a
Yeah,
fantastic dictator of the future and the apocalypse.
yeah. Well, so, sometimes you just got to get some shit done, right? If you ask my band,
Exactly.
they're probably confused about which role I take as well.
Yeah. To be fair, I would just let my fiance be in charge. I'd let her think like she's calling all the shots, but she's a bit of a scatterbrain, so
There you
don't
go.
tell her I
See,
said
well,
that until she
like,
listens to this.
there you go.
Now, during this apocalyptic takeover of nature, the Dandy Warhols, on one of your scavenging adventures, you come across an abandoned music venue that's been completely overtaken by trees and wildlife. Now, are you going to play a show there anyway with acoustic guitars and acoustic equipment, or are you deciding this is very much nature's venue now and you're backing away?
We would take over and play a show for sure.
Yes,
Yeah. We
good
would probably
answer.
make that our main, like, our main bunker, right? So that we can always play music when we're not defending it.
I mean, you could always invite people in and calm them down with some kick-ass music. That could work.
There you go.
Or it could go the other way. Yeah, actually keep them out. Just make them
Yeah.
hear what they're missing. That's probably more
They can
sensible.
listen from the outside. You can't trust anyone
Exactly.
in the apocalypse.
Well, exactly. Now, with civilization gone, what's more valuable? Musical instruments, vinyl records, or the last working coffee machine on the planet?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This one's a doozy.
Dang. Oh, I would pick vinyl records because you can make music without musical instruments. So
Good
I
call.
would pick, especially as a percussionist. So yeah, I would need, and I'd get over the coffee eventually, but not having albums to listen to just have passive comfort rather than active comfort of playing the instruments. Yeah, I would pick records.
Good call. Now we're just going to find a working record player. So I'm going to throw that in as a bonus because
Yeah, that better be
know,
part of the deal. No,
that
no
is going to
trick
be part of
questions.
the deal. That's just that classic thing. The last man on earth. He's got all the books to read and then he breaks his glasses.
Oh my, are you talking about Twilight Zone?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was
That,
parodied in The Simpsons or something. But that's
yeah,
what I
it's
know.
in
That's where it
Twilight
came
Zone.
from.
I think he just wanted to be left alone so bad to read. He was just like so annoyed by humans, and then that happens and his glasses break. Yeah, that's a really good episode.
Now, one of the albums that survives is actually Pin-Ups. It survives the apocalypse and actually becomes a sacred artifact for the future, for future humans. What do you think? What song off this record do you think they will completely misunderstand and why?
Oh my God, that is such a hard question. I don't know what any of these songs are about. Uh, I guess it would probably have to be Marilyn Manson, The Beautiful People. I'm sure they would think that that was like a happy story and not the, creepy take on humanity's shallowness. Then, right?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I would go with that one.
Yeah.
Now, you're living off the land. Be honest, who's thriving out of the Dandy Warhols and who's absolutely not going to make it to the following week?
I don't think those guys would make it.
None of them.
No, I might actually just have to ditch them and go with a stronger team.
You're
They're
going to
not.
break up the Dandy Warhols just because of an
I
apocalypse.
mean, I'll leave them somewhere safe and go out and find some people that I think can help us survive and bring them back. But just the four of us on our own, we wouldn't make it.
Fair.
Courtney would be the military strategist, so he could like do that stuff. But as far as any sort of like, yeah, I just don't see those guys making it in the wild.
But everyone needs their minions. I mean, if you ditch them, you're the dictator of this group. You ditch
Yeah.
them, you might come across someone more powerful, more
More powerful than me. Yeah. I
To
don't
be
know.
fair, I doubt it,
Yeah, yeah, we would just have to expand our tribe because those guys would, Brent would keep us entertained. He's the best musician in the group. If we had even one crappy guitar, we would be, Peter and Brent just need guitars. We just have to get them some guitars, keep them happy. Brent's an amazing cook. Brent would make the food happen. Peter would make sure that we stay ethical. He's got a really strong moral compass. Courtney would be good at like any strategic stuff when we're like figuring out our like our safeguards around our bunker. But as far as just like grit and aggression and just like whatever, that I'm the only one that has that in this band. So I would have to go find a few more people to like boost our numbers and our muscle.
Yeah. Strong enough, but not strong enough to take over. I got you.
Yeah, there you go, exactly.
Now, finally, nature, as we know, has retaken the world. Which artist from the record Pin-Ups do you most trust to survive? And which one of them are you definitely not going to follow into the forest to scavenge?
Man, I need a track listing. What else is on there?
I'm anxiously trying to dig
I
out
mean,
the track
Marilyn
listing
Manson
now.
probably caused the apocalypse.
I could
I'm
imagine
sure.
that's possibly the case, but he would also probably have one of the craziest followings still, regardless.
Yeah, yeah, they would. They're who we're hiding from. I mean, I'm sure the Runaways would be pretty tough. All those 70s bands probably low key know how to use like hunting rifles and ride ATVs. Oh, Brent's got really good motorcycle ATV skills. He would be good with that stuff too. Actually, I should give my band a little more credit.
I don't know, but I do think Bob Dylan would be a pretty good person to have in the group. I don't know why. He just strikes me as the person
Really?
that...
He's such a grump. I don't know if we need more grumpy guys that think everything is a bad idea, except, yeah.
To be fair,
Who
this
else
is
is
from an
on?
outside looking in, so... I've never had the
Yeah.
pleasure.
Robert Smith, I mean, the guys from The Cure are tough blokes, right? And um yeah, I would definitely have The Cure come in and be part of our gang.
Cool.
And the
Everyone
Runaways
needs.
would be yeah, the Runaways would be part of our gang.
Yeah.
Uh yeah.
I think everyone needs a Robert. Let's be honest.
Well, and he's fucking funny. Like I could be in close quarters with Robert for quite a while. We're tight.
Cool. Zia, I want to thank you so much for joining me on Ampocalypse today. Excuse me. I think it's safe to say you have survived this apocalypse. Not so sure about the rest of the band. It depends if you
Yeah, me
look after
neither.
them or not, or if you decide to ditch them and hang out with The Cure.
I won't ditch him. I would have ditched him by now if that was going to be the case.
Thank you so much. Good luck with the release, and I cannot wait to see what's coming up next. And yes, I will definitely have you on when the next album comes out, because that will be absolutely
Please do.
tremendous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.